Yeah. One more thing. Gotta make sure that I can see what you guys are seeing. You here. You here. Perfecto. All right, so let's get recording going. Teams.
I got it recording.
Is already recording.
I
Perfect.
started.
Someone started it for me. Even better. All right, so screen sharing, everybody can see what I'm seeing, so we're good to go. My official good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for the very long delay. For whatever reason, my camera that was working just fine decided to stop working. But welcome to our Xebia webinar. Today, the topic of the day is your data on the stage, right? We're going to be talking about RTI, real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric. And the idea is to bring the data, process the data, and present, right, the stage, present the data in at least two different stages that Microsoft Fabric provides to us. Um, the whole idea of working with real-time intelligence is to working with the stream data. And the first topic we're going to be covering is setting down this concept of how streaming data works and how different it is from batch processing. But before I get there, and let's see if this one works. Before I get there, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Armando Lacerda, and I have seen some familiar faces there on the roster. So thank you guys from Xebia US to be connected there. There are way more people there, and we welcome you. Thank you for attending the session. Again, my name is Armando Lacerda, and I am a data platform SME and also an Azure architect and engineer. I've been working with Fabric since inception, since Fabric was a private preview project from Microsoft, getting ready to succeed Azure Synapse that succeeded Azure Data Warehouse, and I've been working with all these platforms for over 25 years. That QR code there gets you to my LinkedIn profile. You got the link there as well in case you want to, type the link. And that MVP, the MS account is my social account that I use as an MVP. I'm a Microsoft MVP awardee. MVP is an award that Microsoft gives to professionals like us who share the knowledge they have for free with the community and contribute to the overall community skilling up. So yeah, but my email here with Xebia is armando.lacerda, like you see there, at xebia.com, and I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you, to connect with you. LinkedIn is my preferred network. If you want to connect there with LinkedIn, I love to make new friends there. All right, so real-time intelligence is the latest installment of something that has been around for over 10 years, which is, there was a wave way back in the day called the big data wave. And Hadoop was the name of the game back then. And, and the idea was to work with a lot of data. I mean, terabytes of data. The thing was designed to work with terabytes and terabytes of data. If you had gigabytes of data, it worked fine, but it wants to work with more. And what big data used to do is to work with batch processing. It's this idea over here. Most people gather all this information from, let's say, retailers or the health industry, banking, whatever industry, whatever vertical. They would collect the data that was being processed by the transactional systems, and they will process the data in a batch style, meaning get all the data and process the data. But there was always, and still is always, the requirement to work with the data as the data is generated at the source. As the data gets available, we want to get that data and analyze that data either for machine learning, either for inference and make decisions and react in real time to something that's happening in the field. So this is the basic design of what data engineers like to call the Lambda approach, right? And the idea of the Lambda approach, the Lambda, the Greek letter that gets one and splits in two. That's the idea, right? You get the data source here, which is one, and you split the processing style into two possible data processing lanes: batching, as I mentioned, and streaming processing. At some point, you will have this data collected together in here, so you can work with the past and with the present at once. This has been achieved before, even before Fabric, but now Fabric gets a new thing, and we're going to talk more about this at the end of this presentation, which is the Fabric IQ, where inside Fabric, we mix data from the past, the batch, the present, RTI, and the future, which is a new item processing inside Fabric called the planner, and where you can look into trends from the past and current and design the future. And when you get this, or try to predict the future, and when you think when you join these three perspectives together, you have this thing called the Fabric IQ, which is the basis for agentic fabric and helping agentic AI. But that's conversation for later. Let's focus in here on the topic of the day, which is the real-time intelligence. So this design here has been around for a while. And inside Microsoft, before Fabric, when we had Synapse Analytics, that design was simplified into these two here, right? We have the same Lambda approach here, where we have the batch layer. This time around is at the bottom, and we have the real-time layer. What I really want you to grasp from here to make sense of the demos that are coming up and everything that's going to happen, what I really need you to grasp from this is that at some point, the real-time analytics and whatever I have processed before from the past, they have to mingle together so we can have a consistent, holistic view of the company's situation, right? Of the company's data. We can ask for the, query the present and analyze the past and project the future. That's the idea. There was a variation of this, which is this one here. It's called the Kappa design, where what was really important in the Kappa design is the real-time data, right? They really want to talk about the real-time data, always processing and presenting the real-time data and mixing the real-time data with whatever happened in the past. This design here is the seed, was the generator of what today we know as the delta tables, right? The delta tables, the internal design and how the engine works, it's pretty much very close to this one here. But regardless what way we go, we always see this speed lane think approach, right? The real-time approach. And before Fabric, in order to implement any of this, we would have to put out, or set up in some cloud provider, in our case in Azure, 4, 5, 6 services, depending, how complex the processing design we want to implement to support the use case from our customers. And in our case here, all of this was made more compact and easier to implement, way easier. You see, you're going to start this from scratch using Fabric. So if you keep this picture, for instance, in your head, right? Close your eyes and open it again. That picture is implemented like this in Microsoft Fabric. Now, keep in mind that Fabric has way more services than what this one is showing, right? In Fabric, the documentation usually names it workloads. So we have the data warehouse workloads, we have the machine learning workloads, we have the lakehouse workloads, we have all the transformations, the data flow Gen 2, so many workloads there inside Fabric, right? Fabric IQ is going to be one of the workloads, is already in preview out there if someone wants to try. And this one here is our, here's my laser point. This one here is our RTI, right? The real-time intelligence. So this is just a subset of what we find inside Fabric. And as you can see, we find the implementation of the designs I have just shown you, right? We have inside Fabric, we have the streaming. And when we're talking about the real-time intelligence, right, we have the streaming. The streaming is collecting the data and processing the data as the data arrives using the event streaming. And once the data arrives, if I need to act right away, even before it gets stored in a database, if I need to act on it right away, I can set up an activator inside the real-time intelligence and do whatever I want to do. Make an API call, send a message to someone because something in the field is calling our attention. Otherwise, as the data arrives, we save that data in this particular database here called Event House. So the Event House is the another implementation of a database that was there before in Azure platform called Azure Data Explorer, which is a very highly scalable keychain time series databases specifically for this scenario, right? For real-time intelligence. These things beats most, all the data engines I have tested and compared to it. If you're coming from Databricks, if you're coming from other platforms, Databricks can do streaming data processing as well, but not at the scale that the Event House can. So if your scenario is a simple scenario, it can address that way simpler than Databricks would do. The same style that Databricks does, Fabric can do as well. And here the comparison is just to show that we can find the solutions in there. But this is the state of the art if you are adopting Fabric as your data solution. So once the data is in the Event House and available for analytics, as soon as it arrives from the sources, we have these other resources here to present the data. This is our stage, right? So from sensors to SQL to stage, the data on the stage, and we will demo all of this as we move along. Now, make sure you understand that Fabric is up to here, right? This is Fabric, right? Up to here. The data sources are, of course, they are not part of Fabric. Data sources, whatever data sources they are, they come from some place and they will find their way to get data into Fabric. I'm going to show you how that works, but basically, the idea here is to provide a service bus, some service engine like Kafka, or in our case here, going to be demoing it with Azure Event Hub, and connecting the services, connecting whatever source they are, to send those streaming message through this message service. It's not common, it's very rare to connect the data sources straight to RTI. We usually go through a service bus to guarantee message delivery. The message is not going to be lost or be placed someplace, be lost or just dropped. So let's see how that goes. We're going to start on the data source side and make data available to Fabric so we can start see this data flowing. So let's go in and jump into the first demo. Let me see here. After reboot, how my things are working. Whoops, come back here, and here. Perhaps, let's see. Nope. Nope. Oh, there we go. Right. Demo gods are trying to trick me to here today. So because the Event Hub is aside from Fabric, right? I have Fabric here ready for me, but I'm going to go into the Azure portal and I'm going to create the service bus to supply data for Azure. So I'm going to go to portal.azure.com. And this is a simple operation. It's not going to take too long. Hopefully, it will make sense for you. That's why I want to get it started from scratch. So I'm creating here an event hub, as you can see. And if this is too small, let me know, right? I'm going to make it a little bigger here. But if it's too small, let me know. And I do have an RTI resource group here for today's demos. And this is RTI webinar live. I've also created this whole thing here in the back end before the session started. So if something goes wrong in here, I have a backup plan for that too, right? So let's get this one here in West US 3 and make sure this doesn't break the bank. I'm gonna get the standard uh, basic support. Just couple more throughput here. Make sure this thing is not gonna break, and that should be it. This is just security, network access, no need for tags, and review and create. So this one should go pretty easy and fast. Because of my struggle here with my camera, Teams is not anywhere I can see it right now. So if you have questions, please save your question. I'm gonna take like 5 to 7 minutes at the end to work with your questions, right? So if you, as I go along here, if you get any questions, hold the thought, write it down, don't let don't let it escape. And I'm gonna give you time to ask questions at the end of the presentation. So this one here is going to be my event hub. Of course, something needs to connect to this event hub to send information to Fabric. It's going to be my source. In a real world scenario, this could the sources, right? The event generators, they can be like IoT scenarios where people would connect sensors to to the pipeline and get that information sent to the event hub. Nowadays, even Microsoft SQL Server with the new feature called CES can also send signals, and we can have real-time data coming from SQL Server, or even Postgres has a way to do that too, to send data over the message manager and feed the RTI instead of feeding the batch lane, feeding the speed lane. Like I said, this was pretty quick. So what I have in here is I use Claude because here at Xebia we explore and try to be in the edge of everything. So I was about to write a code to simulate a sensor, and I was like, no, Claude is my friend. I can use Claude. So I did create a simple Python application here with Claude to show you to simulate, right, a sensor data source. So here I have my namespace, RTI webinar live, yep. And let's go ahead and create an event hub for the messages. Same name, RTI sensors live. All right, let's keep this for a little longer. Let's keep it for, that is hours, right? Let's keep it 24 hours, more than I need. So make sure that data will stay there in case something fails in the pipeline. So click create, and now I have my event hub that is gonna send data to Fabric, this camera that will send data to Fabric, and I need now the application, right, to work with this one. So the application is right here. Let me bring it up to my screen and get it to the right screen. 1 second. Go ahead and click in here. And I think this is the one. Let's see if I can drag it there now. Yeah, there we go. Bring this one here. So this is the application that the little app that Claude created for me. It's gonna simulating temperature sensor on multiple cities here in the US, and it's gonna send that to the event hub. And yeah, so this is where my connectivity information comes in. The endpoint is RTI webinar live. My key name here for this one is, let's go ahead and copy it from here. What is it? Webinar live, share access policies. This is my key name. So this is the name. And let's get this here. And the access key. This is something that you would never show to anybody anywhere, but just because it's a simple demo, so I don't think you will have time to break my to break the bank. For some reason, the mouse is not clicking there. Let's try that again. Oh, dang. Okay, so let's grab this guy from here. When the tech decides not to cooperate. Okay, let's bring it to this monitor, see if it works this way. All right, here we go. Copy and put it back there. So that is the key. I just copy it from here. Let's go ahead in the code and paste it in here. All right, with this, we will have data flowing to my event hub. Let's take a look. Python 3 sensor. Hopefully that will go. Oh, it will not go because let's see here. As we can see, I do have my event hub here, and my event hub is RTI sensors live. And my code here says sensor web name. So there's a different name that I had for my backup plan in case this thing doesn't work. So RTI sensors, not live, but not data, but live. Okay, save that there, double check it. Here, RTI sensors live, perfect. Back in here and save the file. And now it should go. Stop it. And add the S that is missing. Save and try it again. There we go. So, so now we have payloads, right, going to our event hub. And if I go back to the event hub, I will see here, I'm gonna keep the screen showing us how the events are coming through. And it's funny, for some reason, when I click on this, it does not, oh, now it seems to be back. Okay, perfect. So, right, yes. So now got some heartbeat coming in. In a few, we'll see more data coming through because we are sending about 30 to 35 payloads per tenth of a second to this one here. So we'll see some payload coming in eventually in about a minute or so. So with this is the first part of the demo, right? The first thing we need to get, what's PowerPoint? The first thing we need to get data for Fabric. Now we're gonna start work with Fabric to collect that data. So the first thing in order to do the RTI processing Fabric is to create this element, this particular Fabric item called the event stream. The event stream, some people confuse this a little bit, so important to keep them in perspective. The event stream is the one that reads from the event bus, right? The message negotiator, the message manager, you know, could be Kafka, could be SQL, like I mentioned before. There are a bunch of options in there that we'll see. In our case here, it will be the event hub. So this one here deals with the data as the data arrives. And this one here is the high specialized database engine that will keep the data after it has arrived, but in very close time proximity, right? It's very near real time. As the data sits in here, it shows up here up pretty much right away. So any questions, any query we make to this one here that we'll see later, it comes on pretty much real time. And real time is a concept that varies, right, depending on the case that we are implementing. So let's take a look at how that goes. Let me go back here to the web browser, and let's take a look into Fabric. Let's see if I have more information here, if this is refreshed. Yeah, see, I got 250 messages in the last refresh. Yeah, requests actually, and this is the amount of messages, the HP load 30 something, and the data volume that's coming through. So yeah, data is coming. That is great. So let's go to Fabric and start this from scratch, right? I got my workspace in here. That is a Fabric workspace. It's not a Power BI workspace. So I'm gonna go and do a new in here. And what we're gonna do here is looking for our event stream, because I was already creating these things in the back end. The event stream is already here. So I'm gonna go click from here and do the RTI webinar live. So I'm using this suffix live here for everything I do now. So it kind of make the difference from what I have prepared as my backup. And you're gonna see how this thing is super easy. That's one of the benefits of using Fabric. You really don't have to rely much on coding and very cumbersome settings. It was made to focus only on the main elements that you really need to get the data flowing and processed. That's why they call it a software as a service, right? Fabric is not like a platform like everything else in Azure, but easy to use, very low code approach in this case. So let's connect to a data source, and it's going to be an event hub as we have just created, and you are populating it in there. And in this case, I'm going to need to create a new connection because I just created that event hub in there. So let's go ahead and create a new connection in here. The event hub namespace, we're going to go back here so you don't lose track of it. Yeah, for some reason, my keyboard is not. See, event hub namespace is right here. So this is the name that I need. Let's copy it from here. And the event hub itself is within that one. So if we go here into we just created these things, right? You saw me creating this whole thing just now. So this is it here. Let's go ahead and copy this guy here. We're going to create a new connection. This is going to be my RTI webinar live connection. That's the name for my connection. And like in my code, it's going to need the key name and the key value. So let's go back there and look for the key name. Here's the key name. And put it over here. Stitching all the dots together, right? Put everything together. Let's see if it works this time around. No, it doesn't. It's so funny. Yeah, it doesn't work. So let me drag it to my other screen here. From here, apparently it works. And drag it back there. A new thing every day. All right, so this is the code in there, and that is the code that goes here. Don't skip this. Let's see if it works. Connect. And we should be good to go. Let's see. Yay, fine. No, don't save this. I'm gonna trash it anyways. So that's my connection defined. These are internal definitions for the manager, right? The message manager. We don't have to worry about that. And the payload is in JSON. Let's go ahead and add this. And here we are. This is where we have the event hub. So the message they are already in the queue. This is where we have the event stream, right? The names are pretty close. This is the event stream. So the message they are there in the event hub, they're already popping up in here for me. I can see some of the information. This is a preview. I'm not consuming this data. Fabric at this point is not consuming this data. What it's doing is it's connecting to a particular engine. And I didn't actually show you all the options that are there. But when you add to data sources, you can see here that we have, these are predefined connections in there. If I click here in all data sources, you see we can, get MSK Kafka, we get Cosmos, we can connect anything that creates a payload that can be connected through message, right? Message elements. So these are what is there today. When there is a need to expand this, there is an SDK from Microsoft that you can open up, you can go in and develop and deploy. But yeah, so these are the options. And what happens in here is data comes in, and you have an option here to process the data, to manage the data as the data comes in case you want to do very simple. This is not really ETL, but it's to do very simple data messaging, massage, rather say, data massage in order to do simple calculations as the data is being processed before it lands in the database. So I can come in here and do I can come in here. Actually, sorry, this is not it. This is it. I can come here and add a transformation, like I can reduce granularity. I can define specific destinations if I want to send it to whatever destination I want to, or just get events transformations. So for the sake of simplicity, and because the demo gods ate a lot of my time in the beginning, I will go straight and save this to. Notice down here that I have the option for an event house and a lake house. What are these two? Why do I have these two options in here? Because everything in Fabric wants to talk to one lake, and there are two interfaces to one lake. One is the lake house, and the other one is the warehouse. So the event stream doesn't know how to write to the warehouse. It only knows how to write to either the event house or the lake house. The preferred way, if I really want to deal with real time as the data arrives, is the event house. I can dump the data straight into the lake house, but it will be in batch. So it's like, up to the event stream, it is real time data. But if I dump the data to the lake house, now it's batching. Looks like the kappa, the kappa approach. So let's go for the Lambda. Let's go for the event house and see this data coming through as it arrives. So destination here is going to be RTI webinar live on that my same workspace. And here I don't have an event house yet. Let's create one. And remember, when I'm doing this, I'm creating a database. In Fabric, creating things is this simple. For the most part, you just give a name. So RTI webinar live. And it's creating the database in the back end. Yeah, for the event house. So here for the database, it will realize at some point that I need to give it a name. Let's see. Moving up here. Can I click on the thing? No, I can't. All right. Get the database. It's funny, right? I haven't seen this before. For some reason, when I click in here, it doesn't respond. So it's looking for the database that I just created. There is no table there. So I'm going to go ahead and create a table. So this is my sensors data live. Done. Input format JSON and save. So at this point, I have all pieces connected. I have my source is my Python application running in the back end, which is simulating sensors somewhere. I have the event hub that's outside Fabric that is collecting information, make sure no payload is lost. And now I have the event stream that's connecting to the event hub, bring the data in and dumping the data. It could have something processing there, but it is dumping the data into a highly scalable. I mean, this highly scalable. Just to give you the idea of the scalability of this, then the data engine that runs behind this is the same data engine that Microsoft runs and collects all the telemetry coming from Azure. All Azure telemetry is processed by this data engine here that we are seeing, right? Deployment of this data engine. So with this in there, we are good to go. We have seen some preview data here before. I think if you do refresh here, we'll see it again. And I really would like to understand why the mouse is so lost. It's probably because of the same reason that the camera didn't work. My main camera didn't work. Anyways, let's see if the data shows up. And everything you see here is preview. Nobody's seeing this data but you. It's just to make sure that the data is coming through. Now that data is there, I'm gonna go do a publish. And with this publish, it will get all of the settings pushed down to Fabric, and Fabric will wire up now let's say production side, right, where the data really being consumed and removed from whatever partition it is in the message hub to be consumed and stored by this one here, by the Fabric RTI. So this takes a while. See no data preview at this point. You see it's still loading. The wiring up of this thing is running the back end. So I'm going to go back to the slide deck and discuss something else in there and go back to this one here to see if it's already finished. Let's go back in here. All right, so that was the demo for the event stream and the event house. We have just seen these two. Actually, before I go and show you the activator, let me go back there to the event house. As this one is still loading, let me open another tab here for Fabric. This is killing me. Even the plus sign, when I click in there, it did not respond. Let's see there. Okay, so Fabric, Microsoft.com. And if I go into my webinar live, into the workspace, you see here now that I have the event house and I have the database we have just created. And if I click here in the event house database, I don't see a table here yet because it's still loading in the other screen, as you can recall. I could create an empty one here, but this is where your real-time interaction happens, right? This is where you start setting up your stage. So I just want to show you that all this creation that was on the tab on the right, if they created these things here. Of course, we're not going to have time to see all of this, but we'll see the data showing up at the end. Oops, look at that. Data start arriving. That's pretty cool. So before I get into this, let's go back in here and discuss this. We get the event stream and the event house in place. Now I want to talk about this one here. It's kind of a side note to the whole presentation, but I think it's important, which is the activator. And the thing about the activator is if you have a condition that you want to react to, right? It's not proactive, it's react to. You got the data, gonna react to the data. And you want that to be processed like almost in parallel when the data goes into the event house. And at the same time, you want to do something about it right away. You have this feature called the activator in RTI. So what it does is if you define, you're going to define a criteria, you know, if when the payload arrives, if a particular attribute there has a whatever condition or have a value you want to compare in there, you want to add, you want to do something, you want to send a message, whatever. So again, no code, just setting up, and this thing is real time running right away. So let's take a look on that particular feature there. Here and here. Where are we? All right, so this is my database. Everything is in there in the database. We can see these elements in there, table elements. We're discussing this. Let me go back here because the activator, like I said, it's as the data goes into the database, it's processed by the event stream. So you set up the activator. You can set up from the workspace, but usually come in here and you set it right from here. Set alert. We could not load data schema. It thinks the data is not flowing yet. So it says it's active, right? So data is flowing. I will see some sample data in here. It was just a matter of refreshing the interface. There we go. So this one here is like a rule name. Let's say too hot. And what I'm gonna check when a particular field, and I'm so sorry that the clicks here, they are not really helping. You see? So I have to move this out of the screen in order to select. Give me just a second. So the field's gonna be temperature in Fahrenheit is greater than numeric state, greater than, let's say 110. So yeah, let me bring this back in. So when a particular field in there, let's see if it comes, no, it doesn't. When a particular field there, temperature goes above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, ping me, right? Ping me. I want to know about that. I have to do something about it. And there are other options here. I can call, a webhook. I can call Azure Functions. Pretty much send an HTTP ping someplace and have someone dealing with this. All right. Okay, so let's go and create. All right. Rule creation supported in the selected region. Select another region. Too hot on is, oh, here, sorry. Yeah, my workspace is the workspace that it's private to me, right? And Fabric doesn't work on my workspaces, right? Fabric works on regular workspaces. So I just have, again, take this out of the screen and select the workspace we have created. As you can recall, RTR Webinar Live. And let's see if it's there now. Yeah, you see, RTR Webinar Live. So I can go ahead and create. And this is it, right? Once this is created, you're probably gonna hear my cell phone here start beeping because some of these temperatures here, see this 119, right? That's here on the screen, 119. So eventually I will get some random sensor there getting to that one. And if I click here open, or matching the criteria, right? And if I click here open, I can see the analytics of the messages that are coming through. Okay, it's still populating. I'm gonna leave this screen here for now and move to the next demo. This will populate momentarily, and you will see. So let's go back in here. So that was the activator. Now it's time for the demo for the activator. Now it's time to start looking into the data, right? And there are two stages, like I mentioned before, and this is kind of start landing our plane here. There are two stages connected to the real-time intelligence. We do have a, let's say, more technical stage, which is the real-time dashboard. And the idea of the real-time dashboard is if you're already familiar with Data Explorer from Azure, or if you are familiar with some notebook strategies from PySpark, you can use the same style here and do these things. Now it's by code, by query. It's pretty cool. If you are a Power BI person and you want to deploy, to create your reports into Power BI in Power BI instead of creating on something that's more technical, less user-friendly, you can use Power BI. That's your second stage, and you have two ways to connect your Power BI to the data. One is like live, get the data as the data arrives in the event house. So you're gonna create a query and keep that query in the database, and Power BI will tell the database, I want that query to collect this data so I can present my report. And that's live, and that costs more because there are two engines running at the same time to supply data for the query. Or we can have event house dumping the data into one lake, and that is a free operation. There's no cost to that, and the data that's duplicated, Microsoft doesn't charge either. And Power BI can consume from the data in one lake, but the thing with the data in one lake, it's always a little some time behind, right? You can set it up for like 5 minutes. By default, is up to 3 hours because it depends on the data volume that comes in, some technical aspects behind the scenes. But the point is, when you go to the one lake connection, it's always some minutes behind. It can be hours, right? But usually some minutes behind, depending on the workload, right? How much data volume is coming through. So let's take a look how that goes. We're gonna kill the slide deck, see if that helps with the clicks. So let's go back here and here and here. And what we want to do, we want to take a look on the oh, there we go. See, some data coming through here into the activators. You got a bunch of messages already coming through. It's probably being throttled. And here are the messages that are activated, and they were captured, right, and activated. Pretty cool. So let's go here to Fabric Live, this one, and let's go. This was completed, done. And from here, wait. Okay, I'm seeing the data is flowing. Everything looks fine. I don't need to change anything like from this one yet. I have the activator and the RTI, like I mentioned before, going in parallel there. So where is my database? Here's my database. So this is the data here in the database. I see the data that has already arrived. And in here, I can start querying the data using using two query language, right? The native one is the one you're seeing there right now, is the KQL. So it's a new a new skill we'll have to learn. Actually, I'm going to show you something you really don't have to learn, but if you want to learn like I do, you get in there. The other one, you can actually run some SQL queries here as well. But if I go here and do, what's my table name? Sensors, data live, count. Let's see how many payloads we have there already. So I got like 97,000 workloads there already. So if I want to make a query there, I can come in here and you use Copilot, right? Copilot is available for you in Fabric and all Fabric capacities. So I can come in here and say like list the highest temperature for all cities, for instance. And here it will, and of course the click's still not working. So I'm gonna bring this one here, click on the little arrow there, and let it process. All right, listen, working on it. Okay, here's my query. Insert this query in the editor. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's my query, census live data. City for location city, summarized. Yeah, so this is how the query looks like. And if I run this one here, oops, don't highlight, just click on it. Run this guy here, it will give me the highest temperature per city in there. And if I want to make changes to this, I can go ahead like show in a bar chart. Enter works too, perfect. And we'll adjust my statement to have the request for bar chart. And in here, I see the bar chart going on in there. And I can go ahead and save this to the real-time dashboard. So I'm going to create a new one in here. And like all the ones before, RTI live, RTR webinar live on my workspace. And with this, with the dashboard from within RTI there, I can give this to end users. Like if I go to my workspace, I will see the dashboard right here. Let's see, that's the workspace here. I can see the real-time dashboard right here. So I can come and give this dashboard to someone, and they can see, right, the metrics and information in there. The only thing is this dashboard doesn't look as appealing, right? Like as sexy as a Power BI dashboard would look like. I would have a bunch of tiles in here, can add more tiles and add more elements from here, can create Activator from here as well if I want. But the point is, it's not as fancy as a Power BI dashboard would be. So if I want to and go ahead and create a Power BI report based on the same data, one of the things I would have to, one of the ways I can opt to work and have that going for me is going into the KQL database. See the event house here, it's called, see the event house here where the data is. This is the actual engine of the event house, which is the KQL. So if I come here and say, you know what, I want this data in one lake, because right now this data is only in event house. So if I come in here and say, you know what, dump this data for me in one lake. Let's go ahead and flip that from the other screen. And are you sure you want to do that? Say yes. So it's, you see, we have 1.4 megabytes of 7.4 original size, and it's gonna go ahead and create that information into one lake. So now I could go into Power BI desktop and connect to the lake, to the table in there, and make my reports from there. Because we are almost at time, I'm going to flip back here to my backup plan because it's already there. Let me see here, fabric.microsoft.com. And let's go into here. So as you can see here, I have a lake house that I have already created. If I didn't have the trouble with the reboot, I would probably have time to do this with you guys. But this is already created, and you will see here that my table is here, and this table is a shortcut, as you can read over there. Let me see if I can get this font a little bigger. As you can see here over there, read over there, that's coming from the event house, right? And I can read that from the batch storage. If you can recall from the original design, right, of the two lanes in the Lambda approach, this is my batch storage. This is my historical data. So that I'm mingling with the data that's coming to live, coming from live. And from here, I can just either use even SQL Server, right? Because I do have, let me go back here to the workspace. I do have here the lakehouse, the SQL endpoint that I can go and do regular SQL queries, and even expose this as APIs. So developers, if they need this information and from their applications, they can just make a connection to an API endpoint. So select star from dbo.temp sensors. Let's see how many rows we have there. Oops. Let's see how many rows we have there. And this is it, right? We got the data coming all the way from the sensor through the message bus, through the RTI with minimal code. I have pretty much no code there, right? Besides the queries that we're doing. Oh, I didn't do count. That's why it was taking forever. Let's do this again. Let's see how many I have on the other side. I have 1 million rows, 1.5, almost 1.5 million rows on the other side that I let running before the presentation. So with that, I know we are on time. We're 2 minutes after the hour. I apologize for the hiccups in the beginnings. If you have to go, we understand. But I would like to open the microphone now for questions. I hope you have learned something new. Please don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email at armando.lacerda@xebia.com. And I see you in the next webinar. Now, microphone is open for you guys to ask questions. Let me take a look here in Teams and see if there is any activity on the chat window. Thank you, Lynn. All right, that was earlier. Anyone in the lobby? No? Okay, no activities in the chat. Any questions? Zim, Broke, JT, Matthew, Lynn? All right. Okay, then. Once again, sorry for the hiccups in the middle of the presentation. Again, I hope you have learned something new. You have learned something new, and I see you in the next webinar. Have a good one.